terrorism.
You should be one of the richest nations in the world. You have huge oil and gas reserves. You have one of the most intelligent people on the planet, an ancient civilization of educated, rich in culture, rich in history, and yet you're poor.
Hey everyone, so glad you clicked on this one because I promise you this conversation goes somewhere I genuinely did not expect. What you are about to see is a live street exchange between an Israeli Jewish host and an Iranian caller who opens by challenging the entire premise of Israel's existence. And then something remarkable happens. The caller keeps saying he opposes his own government's policies, almost all of them, and yet, the deeper the conversation goes, the more the host exposes a contradiction the caller cannot resolve. This covers everything from nuclear threats to proxy wars to what the Persian civilization actually deserves versus what its government has given it. Here is my strong recommendation. Do not skip ahead on this one because the moment this conversation lands its final point is something you really have to see build up from the beginning to fully appreciate. Drop your city or country in the comments right now. I always find it fascinating where people are tuning in from when the topic hits this close to real-world events, and I genuinely want to know where you are watching from today. All right, let us get into it.
Oh, what do we got here? A Jewish fanatic Israeli bullshit, right?
No, not at all, bro.
I want the Israeli people to know one thing. One thing. You attack our country, you attack Iran. You don't attack the regime, okay? All you did, you united the whole Iranian country against you.
So one question, bro. One question.
If
the leader of your country is calling for the destruction of my country, building a nuclear weapon, has a countdown to the destruction of my country, has a military force called the Quds force, has bankrolls Islamic Jihad, Hamas, and Hezbollah, how should we respond?
Answer that?
Yeah.
All right. I don't agree with the Islamic Republic's foreign policy. As a matter of fact, I happen to believe that, the Israeli-Palestinian issue is a separate thing. We got nothing to do with that. We should have stayed out of that. Okay? But to be fair, I'm not siding with the Islamic Republic. They never asked for the annihilation of Israel. They asked for the dismantlement of Israel.
Can you just can you translate this expression for me, which I've heard all of your leaders say? Mag bar Israel.
I'm not for death to any country, even death to America.
But you said that.
No, even death is uncalled for. It's uncalled for. I don't agree with that. Obviously, I don't agree with that. What do you want me to say?
But that's what they're saying.
I don't agree with that. Yeah, I don't. What did I tell you in the beginning? I'm not for the regime. I oppose a lot of their policies. As a matter of fact, a lot of their 99% of their policies. But my friend, when you attack Iran, one thing that you Israelis should come to realization. When the ferocity of Persian, Iranian patriotism runs so deep, it's so ingrained in the DNA of Persians. When you attack us, we will defend, we will resist.
So my question.
I'm not for the regime. I'm not for the regime. But if need be, I'm going to go enlist tomorrow to defend my country against you. If you attack us again, that'll be a big fucking mistake. I'm telling you. We never forget who attacked us. 1400 years ago, Arabs attacked us. We never forgot that.
Yeah, you just all converted to Islam.
That's how we became Muslims. We were Zoroastrians. We are well aware of our history.
The caller opens with an insult, and the host does not even flinch. that right there is the first signal that one person in this conversation came prepared and the other did not. Because the host does not respond with emotion, he responds with a sequence of documented geopolitical realities and then asks one simple question: how should we respond? And that question is the entire debate compressed into a single sentence, because there is no clean answer. If you say do nothing, you are accepting the situation as normal. If you say something else, you are acknowledging the threat is real. The caller chooses the third option: I oppose my own government, which is actually a more honest answer than most people give in these conversations, but it creates a new problem immediately. You cannot spend 30 seconds defending a position and then abandon it the moment someone asks you to explain one phrase from it. And that is exactly what happens. The caller draws a distinction between dismantlement and annihilation, as if one is somehow a reasonable request and the other is not. The host asks him to translate one well-known phrase that every senior official in that government has chanted publicly. The caller immediately says he does not agree with it. In under a minute, he has defended the government's language and then distanced himself from it. That gap between those two positions is where the entire conversation lives. You have to understand what this pattern reveals about how these debates usually go. Most people in the caller's position never get pressed on the internal contradictions of simultaneously opposing a government and defending its stated goals. The host does not let that slide. He holds both positions up at the same time and asks which one is actually true. And the caller has no clean answer because both things cannot be true at the same time. Then the patriotism argument arrives, and this is where the conversation gets genuinely interesting. The caller says Persian identity runs deep. He says if necessary, he would defend his country. That is a completely principled position, and it deserves respect. But defending a homeland and defending a government's foreign policy agenda are two different commitments. The caller never clearly separates them, and that ambiguity follows him through the rest of the conversation.
We've been standing in this region for 3,000 years.
So, 2 quick points. First, you told me how you Persians, you have a big memory. And the Arabs, they attacked you 1,400 years ago. And you haven't forgotten. And how did you repay them? By abandoning your religion and all taking on theirs. Stagfirullah. Now, second point. So please God, I will be very happy if in act of vengeance, all of the Persians become Jewish. Alhamdulillah. Next point. You said that the government was only interested in peacefully dismantling the state of Israel. That's all it means, dismantle. And then I asked you, what does Magbar Israel mean? And you went, I don't agree. I don't mean death to Israel.
You're putting a question to me, I'm going to answer it. What did I tell you? Did I say that I agreed?
No, you disagree. You disagree.
No,
I think you're a good man. You disagreed.
Yeah.
You disagreed. But then you defended the ones that say it.
I disagree with the notion of death to anybody. Even death to anybody, including Israel. Okay?
Magbar Khamenei.
Magbar Israel.
Salami, Rasi, Nasrallah, where are you? Why have you got to counter in Tehran for the destruction of Israel? Why do you name your military force the Quds Force when you're in Iran? Why are you bankrolling Hezbollah? Why are you bankrolling Islamic Jihad? Why are you bankrolling Hamas? Why are you funding all of these? Why are you trying to destroy Israel?
No, you are wrong. You're wrong.
So answer the question. Why is Khomeini paying for Hezbollah? Why is he paying for Hezbollah? Why is he paying for Hamas? Why is he counting down to the destruction of Israel?
Okay. Please quiet. Because saved Iran. You know what I say? Because save Iran.
Iran?
Terrorism.
This is the moment I could not stop thinking about after watching this exchange. The caller is proud of Persian memory. He references being conquered over 1,000 years ago and says Persians never forgot. The host uses that exact pride to ask one of the most precise questions in the entire conversation. If Persians remember that conquest so deeply, why does the civilization today practice the religion that conquest installed? That is not a provocation. That is a genuinely interesting historical observation. And the caller has no clean answer because the history is accurate. Here is what makes this moment worth pausing on. The Arab expansion of the 7th century is one of the most extensively documented transformations in world history. Persia at that time was the home of Zoroastrianism, one of the oldest monotheistic religions in recorded human civilization, predating Islam by over a millennium. Scholars have written extensively about how the transition from Zoroastrianism to Islam in Persia happened over several generations through a combination of political pressure, social incentives, and cultural absorption. The caller references this history as a source of pride while simultaneously not engaging with what it means for the identity he is defending. The host spotted that tension instantly and turned it into a direct challenge. Then, the second exchange arrives about the government's foreign policy spending. And this is where I think the most important point of the whole conversation gets made. The caller's only explanation for why this is happening is essentially that it is a response to external threats. But that answer assumes the spending is defensive. The host is pointing out that the money is not defensive. It is being sent to armed groups operating in completely different countries that have no direct connection to Persian national interest. The caller cannot explain the logic of that because from a purely rational national interest perspective, the logic does not hold. And the caller himself has already admitted he opposes 99% of the government's policies. So he is left defending spending decisions made by a government he disagrees with almost entirely.
You should be one of the richest nations in the world. You have huge oil and gas reserves. You have one of the most intelligent people on the planet, an ancient civilization of educated, rich in culture, rich in history, and yet you're poor and waging wars which you have no interest in. Why are you in Lebanon? Why in Tehran you can't even put the electricity on, and they're giving billions to Nasrallah, who we've sent to Jahannam. Alhamdulillah. You send billions to Hamas. You send billions to all your proxies to fight all these wars that don't help your people. Your people are in darkness. Your people are without what they should have, basic necessities, because of the Ayatollahs.
Because we stand with poor people.
You are poor people because of the Ayatollahs. You are poor people. You should be giants. You should be kings. You should be kings. You are Persian. You're Farsi. You should be one of the mightiest, most incredible civilizations today. But you're not. You just talk about the past because your country's been hijacked by some cavemen.
Okay. I know. You're right. Okay. You are YouTuber?
We're on YouTube, inshallah.
Please send your channel YouTube.
Israel Advocacy Movement.
Send your page. Send your please.
You want a pager?
ID.
You want me to send you a pager? Bro, I'm not sending you a pager. The last
Why?
person we
Why?
sent a
Why?
pager to was Hezbollah. It didn't go well.
I know you're right. That response after everything the host just laid out is one of the most honest moments you will see in a street debate conversation. 4 words. No deflection, no pivot to a different argument, just a direct acknowledgement that the point landed. And what makes it so significant is what the host was actually saying. He was not attacking Persian people. He was not attacking Persian culture. He was doing the opposite. You know, and he was arguing that the Persian people deserve far better than what their government has given them. Ancient civilization, documented contributions to mathematics, astronomy, medicine, architecture, natural resources that should make the country one of the wealthiest in the region. A people the host himself describes as giants. And then he pointed at the gap between what that civilization deserves and what its government has produced. People struggling with basic services while national wealth gets redirected toward foreign conflicts that have nothing to do with the daily lives of ordinary Iranians. There is no way to argue against that framing because it is not partisan. It is not about which side is right in a regional dispute. It is about the relationship between a government and its own people. And when the caller said, "I know you're right," he was not conceding a geopolitical debate. He was acknowledging something much more personal, that the argument being made was genuinely true about the country he loves and the people he would defend. And then the host ends the whole thing with a joke, which is exactly the right move. Because the best version of this kind of conversation does not end in condemnation. It ends with 2 people from opposing backgrounds finding an honest moment together. That is rarer than it looks, and it is genuinely worth paying attention to when it happens. So what do you guys think of this? Leave your thoughts down in the comments. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.